the game.
Hey there, I'm Kel Siddiqui. What started as helping people with their money at my dining room table grew into a 7-figure financial coaching practice. Now I teach others how to build a thriving coaching business of their own. Whether you're just starting out or you've been coaching for years, I'm here to help you make a bigger impact while doing what you love. This is the Financial Coach Academy podcast. Let's dive in.
Hello, coaches. Welcome back to the Financial Coach Academy podcast. I'm your host, Jill Emanuel. I am one of the mentors for the Financial Coach Academy and the lead coach for our coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. I've been coaching for nearly a decade now, and I'm here to help you develop your coaching skills and expertise. Thank you so much for joining me while I'm covering for Kelsa, who's out on her summer sabbatical. All right, guys. If you are building a financial coaching business, you know it can feel really lonely. You are making all the decisions, coming up with all of the ideas, and wondering if what you're doing will actually work. But what if you didn't have to figure it all out on your own? What if you had a group of financial coaches who were right there with you, sharing what's working, helping you get unstuck, and cheering you on every step of the way? Well, that's exactly what our Financial Coach Academy Mastermind provides. Real-time support for you from coaches who are building their business right alongside you. If you're tired of spinning your wheels and you're ready for the accountability and guidance that's actually going to move your business forward, you need to hear about this. So our enrollment opens for the mastermind on September 15th. You can find out more if you go to financialcoachacademy.com/mastermind. We would love to have you joining us. All right, before we dive in, guys, I'd love to share a review that was left on our Apple podcast. This is from Elena, who says, "I can't get enough. I'll be the first to say I'm addicted to this podcast. I feel so supported as an up-and-coming financial coach. I even catch myself driving slower to have more time to listen." Thank you so much, Elena. I love that you're squeezing in every last minute of the podcast. And thank you so much for listening and taking the time to leave us a review. It really means so much to us. If you are also listening and thinking, gosh, I do love this podcast and I'm driving slow everywhere, just like Elena, please pause the podcast, first pull over maybe, take a minute and drop us a review as well. You guys, I can't stress enough how important it is for those reviews. I know it takes a minute of your time, but it really lets others know what this podcast is all about, that it's worth their time. It helps others find us, and we really appreciate your help in supporting the podcast. All right. So let's dive into the episode. This one was sparked by something that I've seen pop up several times over the last few months, and I really wanted to tackle it with you today. And this is the question about whether or not you should consider adding a group program or membership to your business. So there's definitely some appeal here, right? I know so many of you are thinking, gosh, I would love to have a group. I would love to have a membership. It's a way to leverage my time. It's a way to leverage my audience, to help more people, to earn more money per hour. What's not to love, right? Well, let's talk about this and let's really dive into how you can approach this so that you know if this is a good option for you, or if not now, when might it be if it's something that you've been considering. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to talk about why I really believe that one-on-one coaching should come first, then the specific indicators that are going to help you know if you're ready for adding group work, and then the practical steps to start making it happen if it does sound like something you want to pursue. All right, so I hope that you are ready, and I hope this really helps you to make a decision about whether or not you want to add some group coaching. At the Financial Coach Academy, we definitely have seen a lot of coaches who rush into group programs too early versus those who wait for the right moment and set themselves up for success. So this is really why I want to help you to choose the right model for your business to be successful. I'm not going to try to convince you one way or another if you should or should not create a group program, but rather I want to help you recognize when the timing is right if this is something that you do want to add. All right, so let's begin with talking about why I really truly believe that one-on-one coaching must come first. And this is really because one-on-one coaching is the foundation for all of your other programs. I know, as I mentioned, there is definitely an appeal for having a group coaching. You can leverage a lower cost offer to help more people while using less of your time. What's not to love? But it's not quite so simple. And I want to make sure that if you do decide to launch a membership or group program, that it's going to be successful. So let's talk about that. The number one reason that we recommend one-on-one coaching first is because of the practice factor, right? It is really where you are going to develop your actual coaching skills in real time. You're going to learn how to ask the right questions, how to handle difficult conversations, how to navigate all sorts of financial situations, and in a much easier setting to learn all of these things in comparison to working with a group. What happens in those one-on-one sessions, you really can't replicate anywhere else. You're forced to think on your feet and to adapt your approach based on what each individual client needs and to develop your intuition about when to push and when to pull back. So many important skills for you to develop as a coach that you gain through this one-on-one coaching experience. Working with individuals also is really how you figure out what actually works versus what you think should work, right? We probably know by now that just because you have a beautiful framework or flow inside of your head, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate well into how things are actually going to go working with your clients. When you're working one-on-one, you're going to be able to start recognizing common stumbling blocks, right, that nearly every client is going to face that you simply don't recognize until you've seen it in practice. Some things are going to take longer than you anticipate. Some things people won't even be interested in at all that you thought were going to be like so earth-shattering and amazing for them. And you gain these insights from actually practicing on individuals. As you're working with individuals, you're really going to see that there's so many patterns, and that's really what you're starting to look for. You need to have that pattern recognition in order to formulate and create an effective group coaching program. So you're looking for the common challenges that keep coming up, the same resistance points, the same breakthrough points or places where people really get a big aha or area of growth, right? This pattern recognition becomes the foundation for effective group programming. So it's really what's going to inform you about what the majority of people care about, what the majority of people need help with, so that you can strategically create your group program offer around this. Now, jumping straight into group coaching can actually be pretty problematic if you haven't developed your coaching skills individually. You're going to wind up trying to manage group dynamics while also figuring out how to coach at the exact same time. It's like trying to conduct an orchestra before you've ever learned to play a single instrument. It doesn't usually work so well, right? So coaching in a group setting is entirely different. If you have not developed your skills coaching one-on-one, what's most likely to happen in a group setting is that you are going to become a financial educator and not a financial coach. So what I mean by this is that it's going to be very easy for you to create content and to lecture on that content and call it a day. It is totally different than being a coach and guiding people to their own realizations, to helping to get them engaged in conversation, to draw them to their own ahas or recognition of places where they're finding themselves stuck. All of those things are what you develop in your one-on-one coaching that are very difficult to develop when you are in front of a big group and you don't have those skills yet, right? So we want you to have those skills so that you can make your program much more impactful, engaging, and able to get results. All right. So starting with one-on-one, it also does a lot for your confidence, right? After you've successfully helped 10 or 20 or 30 people through their financial transformation individually, you develop confidence that comes from knowing that you can handle what comes up, that you can navigate these different scenarios. You're going to feel less intimidated and be more grounded in trusting that no matter what comes up in the group setting, you can figure it out, which is really powerful, right? In one-on-one coaching, you learn how to build trust, how to create safety for vulnerable conversations, and how to hold space for someone's financial shame or embarrassment, right? These skills really do transfer over to the group work once you have developed them, but they're much harder to develop in the group setting where the depth of conversation often doesn't reach the same level. All right. The other thing to think about in a group setting, which is why we want to develop one-on-one coaching first, is that in a group setting, you are balancing delivering content, trying to engage with the group, making it practical and actionable for them, answering their questions, managing time, redirecting the conversation, learning how to politely shut down a conversation that might be dominating the conversation or pulling it off of track. There are so many things to develop or to manage in the group setting that you simply do not have to worry about in a one-to-one coaching environment, right? It is much simpler, much easier, and you want to build those coaching skills first so that when you do have to get into the setting of managing all of those dynamics of the group, you can focus on that. And the coaching part is more natural and innate. All right, so hopefully I've driven home the point of starting with one-on-one, why it's so valuable. You want to develop those skills first and foremost before you start thinking about a group program. But maybe you're like, gosh, Jill, I've been coaching for a year or 2 years. I've helped a whole bunch of people. I see some of the trends. I feel pretty confident as a coach. So maybe now's the time. So let's talk about how you can recognize some of the signs that maybe a group coaching program is going to be the next step, okay? Because for some of you it will be, and for others, probably not, all right? So let's talk about it. And again, I pulled these things from helping dozens and dozens of other financial coaches, seeing what they're trying to do in their business with their offers, and really observing when has it been successful for those who have launched group programs or memberships, and why did it work so well for them compared to those that tried and flopped? So let's talk about these 3 things that I have really observed that I see helps make a group program or membership work. All right, so the very first thing on this list is that a group program might be right for you if you are very tapped on time and volume of people that you can support. So I don't mean tapped on time in the sense of you only have 4 hours a week to work on your business. I mean tapped on time in that you are fully booked out with clients, you've got demand from them, you've got people reaching out and you're having to tell them no or put them on a wait list. So tapped on time in the sense of there's a volume of people coming in and you can no longer find ways to fit them in your schedule, okay? So this is a very good sign that it might be an appropriate time to launch a group program. You want to be able to better leverage your time, and you've proven that there's demand for your services. So it's like that second piece is what is oftentimes missing, right? So many people think up front, I want to leverage my time simply because they want to have more free time, which makes sense. But if you don't have proven demand for your services, it's probably not going to work, okay? And I'll talk more about that later. But you really don't want to launch a group program when you don't have anyone who's demanding your attention, right? It is so much easier to sell one-on-one coaching individually. And then when you launch a group program, you already want that audience. You want some demand of people who are thinking, I can't get on your calendar any other way. And if this is a way to get your help and your attention, I'll go for the group program, okay? So that is really one instance where it can work very well, is when you are tapped on your one-on-one time and you have demand coming in. All right. The second instance where it seems to work quite well to launch a group program or membership is that you have a large audience already. So maybe you have a very large online presence. Maybe you've got a podcast, a YouTube channel, a social media following. You've got people out there who are watching you, who are learning from you. You maybe have a large email list who's opening and engaging with your emails. But we want to make sure that this audience is engaged, right? So you've got a large audience who is engaged. So you can tell that they're paying attention. Again, this is really all about demand, right? It is very hard to fill a group program when you only have a few dozen people on your email list or 100 or 200 followers on your social media. You really want to have thousands of people in your audience, and you want them to be engaged. So people are commenting on your posts, they're engaging in your stories, they're opening your emails or responding to them. They're consistently downloading your podcasts or engaging with the podcast or YouTube and leaving comments, right? These are all signs that you may have the necessary volume of eyes on you that a group or membership offering is going to be viable. All right. So again, you've got a very large audience, but not only is it a large audience, it is an engaged large audience. There's signs that they are paying attention. All right. The third thing is that you have a unique niche that services the masses. All right. So what I mean by this is that you are someone who works with large groups as your niche. I've seen this work really well with coaches that have specifically built their group program or membership to be marketed maybe to like the churches that they go around and speak to. We've got a couple of coaches that are in the mastermind right now, and that is their niche. They mentor pastors and churches, and they travel around and they speak, and they can offer their group membership program to the entire congregation who is there to listen to them, right? So they've got hundreds of people who are listening to them speak and are all primed to take action. So again, they've got a very unique niche that they serve, where the way that they are showing up in their business is really conducive to selling something that serves the masses, right? So again, with this sort of a business model and a large audience, them offering to serve them all individually would not probably be very realistic, right? So in this instance, it works very, very well to have a group program or membership. All right. So what I really want you to see here is that with all of these instances, the demand is already there. This is one of the biggest things that coaches get wrong. They believe that if they build a group program, it will attract the masses. But instead, you really want to focus on attracting people first and then providing the offering for them once you have people there to fill it, right? There is nothing more disheartening than building a group program and then only having one person join it. Ask me how I know. Yes, I made that very mistake when I started out, you guys. I can speak from experience. Almost a decade ago, when I first started out as a financial coach, I saw other online group programs and I thought, wow, this is totally the way to do it. It makes it more affordable for the client. It makes it easier for me. I can help multiple people at once. My time is leveraged. I can earn more per hour. This is perfect, right? Like, it was totally the thing I wanted to do. So I spent weeks and weeks creating content, a landing page, marketing, running a 7-day challenge to wind up with one person in my group program. Someone who paid me something like $397 for 3 months of coaching. This was the biggest time suck. And my hourly rate for this probably wound up being something like 5 hours, maybe less, for all of the work that I put into it. So don't be like me, okay? Learn from my mistakes, build the audience first, build the coaching skills first, learn what people actually want and need, and create a program that's going to align with what they want. Okay, all right, so let's say that you do, in fact, have some experience and you have an audience. And so you might be thinking, okay, great, Jill. So it's kind of sounded like now might actually be the time for me. Well, then let's talk about some of the things that you can do and how to get started. The first thing that I want to talk about is actually some of the benefits of a group program, because it's really good for you to wrap your mind around why this is actually valuable. It might help you with some of your marketing and how you're positioning this to your audience. So let's talk through this just a little bit, and then we'll talk into how you can take some actionable steps to get this started. So some of the benefits of a group program. One is that people feel less alone, right? There can be something really magical that happens when your clients realize that they're not the only one that's having trouble with their money. Hearing from someone else in the group share the exact fear or limiting belief or problem that they're having with their money, it creates this instant connection and relief that cannot be created in individual sessions. As much as I love one-on-one coaching, I certainly have seen over the years where I have my clients that show up and they'll say to me, is anyone else having trouble like this? Is this happening for anyone else? And the cool thing about a group program is that people instantly get that answer. They're seeing that other people are having the same challenges, and then they're not so alone. So it really, really helps with that. All right, the second thing that a group program can be great for is sort of the hive mind effect, right? So this is really where These group settings can create an amazing learning opportunity where members can start to learn from each other. They learn from each other's questions, each other's breakthroughs. I've seen where, one person might ask a question and then it unlocks something for 3 other people in the group, right? People will often say, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. Or I've been wondering the same thing too, but I just didn't want to be the one to ask it. So there's really something powerful that happens when there's multiple people there and they can be learning from each other and sort of like piggybacking on one another's questions to have even more depth of learning. All right. The third thing is that there's more accountability that happens oftentimes in a group setting, right? It can be improved for the active members. Members start holding one another accountable. Friendships develop. People see others committing to their goals and they want to do the same thing. So it's sort of this very positive peer pressure where other people see those in the group doing positive things with their money, and then they also want to do positive things with their money so they can sort of be part of the fun and the celebration. So we've consistently seen that people implement faster in group settings because there is this natural motivation that comes from not wanting to be left behind or not wanting to be the only one that didn't do the work. So it's kind of peer pressure at its best, right? Another good thing about a group program is that you can really structure your content in delivery, really in like a more, strategic flow, let's say. One-on-one coaching, you can have a flow, but things can definitely get thrown off track by what's happening in that individual person's life. And so you may have a plan for what you're talking about, and that may not be the thing at all that you tackle during the coaching session. In a group setting, it typically is a lot easier to stick to the plan and to the structure and guide people through a specific concept or framework that you want to be delivering, instead of just responding to those individual needs in the moment. So it really can help you to build out that week by week strategic plan for delivering content. Leverage, we've already talked about this one. I know that's why a lot of people think about doing a group program, maybe why you are thinking about doing this in the first place. But from a business perspective, a group program or membership is definitely a way to serve more people without trading hours for dollars, right? So it opens up the possibility of lowering the price point, serving people who may not be able to afford one-on-one coaching. And it's not about making less money, but it's about making your expertise more accessible, right? It's a way to have an impact on a larger number of people. So once you've created an effective group program, you can maybe run it multiple times. You can refine it based on what you learn and potentially even create different levels or specializations. So there's real scalability here that does not exist quite in the same way with one-on-one work, where your time is limited to just one person in front of you. All right. The last thing that I wanted to touch on, which is a benefit of group coaching, is that it really is another way to elevate your expertise. So successfully running a group program, it does position you as someone who can guide multiple people through a transformation, which enhances your credibility in the market in a way that's different from one-on-one success stories. So group programs can become a really incredible source of content for social media, email newsletters, other marketing efforts, because you're constantly creating valuable insights through your group work, and the content practically writes itself, right? Running group programs, they may make you a better coach overall because you're developing skills in managing group dynamics, facilitating discussions, creating curriculums. So these are all completely different skills than what you were using in your one-on-one coaching, but they complement each other really beautifully. So it is a way to, again, just elevate your skill, your expertise, and how people view you in the market. All right. So we can see there's a lot of really great benefits to having a group program, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for everyone, or maybe even not something that you want, which is totally fine. Some people love their one-on-one work and don't love doing group work, and others want the exact opposite. But if the only reason that you've been considering doing a group program is for the leverage piece before you've built in the demand, it's really going to be a lot harder for you to get started, and it's probably much better to focus on just working one-on-one for now. All right, so let's move into this last stage of talking about action steps, implementation, what you can do if you do want to move forward, right? So if you've listened to all of this and you're thinking, yep, I think this sounds great, I'm sold, I can see that I'm in a good place where I'm ready for a group program, Here's what we want to do next. All right. So there's a few things that you can consider doing. So first, we want you to really honestly assess what you're doing right now. So count how many one-to-one clients have you worked with and really evaluate whether you see clear patterns in their challenges and breakthroughs, because this is what's going to really help you to create that foundation or format for your group coaching. You want to take time to document that process, right? So document what you're doing, write it down, think about the typical client journey, the common obstacles you help them overcome, the frameworks that you use most frequently, and kind of put this all in a list form. This documentation is really going to be the foundation for that group program that you're going to lead people through. You also really want to look at your current business and just make sure that your one-on-one practice is consistent, it's profitable, you've got systems in place for your client management, because adding group work is only going to make things feel a bit more complicated. So we don't want to shift focus to working with a group and let everything else fall apart with one-on-one clients. They are your foundation. They are the thing that creates the steady revenue that's coming in, that creates the referrals, the word of mouth that keeps you going. So make sure that the systems there are really solid, and then you can think about adding the group program, but let's make sure that that's good to go first, okay? Now, instead of starting right away with a full-blown group program, you might want to consider starting with a small workshop, a mini program, something that gives you a taste of the group dynamic before you've made a major investment of time and energy and effort marketing something that is much more long-term. So try doing some workshops, try doing a 7-day challenge, try a 1 month something, right? But start a little bit smaller to bite it off and just see, how do I like this? Do I enjoy working with the group? What things didn't I like about it? What things did I? What did I learn along the way? So do that to sort of test out the concept before you launch something much bigger. All right, now when you do get around to designing your group program, you want to make sure also that you are building it based on your strengths and the things that you love to help people with the most, not copying what other people are doing, which can be really easy to do, right? Where we might research what other types of group programs are out there and what does it say the flow is. It can get in our head and really detract us from doing what our natural skill set is. So think about what you love helping people with the most and what gets the biggest transformation and biggest aha from your clients. Build your program around that, because we all know we could coach people on a whole bunch of different financial concepts. So stick to something that feels very tangible and doable to help a group with. If you love helping people get out of debt, make your group program a program that's specific towards tackling debt. If you love helping people figure out how to reach financial independence, make it specific about that, but stick to the thing that you know and love and that you know gets your clients results. All right, along with that, you want to be very explicit about creating clear boundaries and expectations within the group. So you actually need to spell out what's included in the group program, what level of individual or one-on-one support is available or not, right? And what results people can realistically expect. Because we all know the results people get one-on-one are probably going to be a little bit different than what they would be in a group setting. You want to be honest about that. You want to clearly spell that out when you begin marketing your program. All right. And then the last thing I want to mention here is I just want you to think very clearly about your capacity, right? So make sure that you can maintain both your one-on-one work and the group work. We want to make sure that you're doing this in a way that isn't going to burn you out. So take some time to really think about your bandwidth, how often you might want to roll out a group program, that sort of thing, so that you can continue doing the work that you love. All right, so here's my challenge for you. If you have been thinking about launching a group program, but maybe you're feeling like you're not quite there yet, just commit to working with 5 to 10 more people, put it on your calendar, and then revisit this idea once you've got a bit more one-on-one experience under your belt. And if you do think that you're ready, pick one specific challenge that your clients are consistently facing and design a short program around that, solving a very specific problem. All right, so remember, the goal is not to create a group program just for the sake of having one, but we want to have it to serve more people effectively while maintaining the quality of transformation that you're known for. All right. So if you found this helpful, I'd love to hear from you. If you've been considering launching a group program, or if you've already done so or attempted to do so, share with me what your experience has been. I would love to hear. And if you are thinking about it and this episode helps you to make that decision, let me know what you've decided. All right. So as we wrap up, as I said at the top of this episode, we're opening doors to our mastermind that is going to be open from the 15th to the 21st of September. If you'd love to join us in our own group program, which is the Financial Coaches Mastermind, where we support you in your business, we would love to see you there. Make sure you head over to financialcoachacademy.com/mastermind for more information. And then next week, we're going to be diving into talking about a big mental block that you may be having, or maybe you're seeing it with some of your clients. I'm excited to dive in and walk through this with you. Until then, keep making a difference in your clients' financial lives. And remember that investing in your own growth is one of the best things that you can do for your future clients. All right, see you next week.
That's all for today. If you're ready to grow your own financial coaching business, head over to financialcoachacademy.com for helpful resources and tools. If this episode helped you, hit subscribe and leave us a review. I'll see you next week.